one thing about MBA that I learned is that that program didn't teach me how to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to manage someone else's business. Hi, my name is Priscilla Grant. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and a new grandmother. I run a $1 million pediatric home health care agency, and I have a government contracting business. And today I want to tell you guys my story. I want to tell you guys my story, but for some reason my story is hard for me to tell. I'm a lot more comfortable sometimes talking about my businesses and my experience in business instead of talking about myself. For some reason, talking about myself is difficult. But today, let's talk about me. So I grew up in a small town called St. Matthews, South Carolina. I graduated from high school with not a clue in the world of what I wanted to do. I applied to one college and one college only. I was accepted and given a full scholarship. And after one semester, I dropped out. I left college. I transferred to another local college, and I left that. And then I packed up and left town and joined the military. I went to the Air Force, and it was very eye-opening for me. I did my research. I couldn't swim, so I picked a military branch that was not going to dump me in a pool. I had heard about gas chambers, so I picked a military branch that was not going to send me into a gas chamber. And I picked the shortest military basic training because it was only 6 weeks. But out of all that research, I didn't realize what the military was going to do for me and do to me. So I learned a lot. I was pushed to the brink sometimes, and I gained a lot that I now use in my business. I picked the toughest job I could find on that piece of paper, the job that has the longest tech school, which turned out to be an intelligence analyst. I spent months trying to get a security clearance because I had bad credit by the time I went into the military. I ended up getting my top secret SCI security clearance and was shipped off to my job in Anchorage, Alaska. I was asked before I left what locations I wanted to be in, and I put all warm locations: Hawaii, Florida. I think I put Italy on there or something, but they sent me to Alaska. So I was shipped off to Alaska. I had a boyfriend at the time, my childhood sweetheart. And one thing you know about the military is your boyfriend can't come with you, but your husband can. So we got married. And he came to my training school with me, and then we went to Alaska. And it was tough being away from all my family. I worked in a vault. When I went to work, it was dark. When I got off work, it was dark. The war had started. 9/11 happened, and I was shipped off to my duty station, to basic training, actually, in October. So the October right after 9/11. So once I got to my base, they were sending people from my base to Iraq. And I was pregnant. And basically, I was like, yeah, I can't go. And then they said, yeah, 3 months after you have that baby, you're gone. So I found a loophole and I got out. With your first child, you can get out of the military with an honorable discharge. And I took that option. And I ended up back at home. One of the themes during this time was that I didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do with my life. I was just willing to try things. And I've always been willing to try things. I'll try college. Okay, I don't like that. I'll try the military. Okay, that's not working. I'll go back home. Now what am I going to try? So I got back home with a husband and a new baby. And now I don't know what to do with my life. Life was a struggle, and I hate struggle. So we decided to move to Georgia. And that was a struggle. We lived in an extended stay hotel for months. There was a time where we couldn't afford diapers for my daughter, so we put maxi pads on her. We struggled. And everything I wanted in life, I searched for. I would go look at apartments when I didn't have money to pay for one. I still go look at $1 million houses. I it's just I look for a better future. I immerse myself in things that I want, whether I can afford it or not. I'll go in a Tiffany store and talk to people like I can buy $100,000 ring. I just like doing things like that. So within my marriage, I started to do that. I started to seek better, but my husband wasn't ready for that at the time. And we grew apart. And once I turned 30, I sat and had a conversation with myself and I said, in 10 years, do you think this will be better or do you think you will be in the same place? And I knew I would be in the same situation. So at 30, I got a divorce. I had just graduated prior to that. I graduated in December with my bachelor's degree. And by January, I was already signed up in my master's degree program. I started that program with a husband and I ended it with a divorce. During that time, I had already had my son as well. So now I had 2 kids. So I'm a single mom with 2 kids. And in those 3 years of being single, I struggled with identity, trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted. Because all my life, I'd been married. All my life, I'd been attached to somebody. I was now in a new apartment with 2 kids and finishing up a master's degree. I had a new job because during the recession, I lost a good job. The first job I ever was able to make $50,000 on. I got a salary. I was no longer an hourly worker and I lost that job. But I started at a new company, Fortune 500 company. And now I'm divorced. And now I'm trying to climb this corporate ladder. I go to my job and I say, I got my master's degree. And they say, well, you don't need a master's degree to do this job. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm dating and it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. I can't pick a good mate because I still don't know who I am. So I told myself it was okay to pray for a husband. It was okay to tell God what you wanted in a mate. And I did that. The one thing I wanted to be loved the same way that I loved. I wanted a man that would love me the way I loved him. And I let it go. I put it in the atmosphere and I walked away. And he came. And when he came, I didn't even recognize it. I was not paying attention. I didn't even know he was interested. Yeah. My friends were like, I think that guy likes you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So we got married pretty quickly. 6 weeks in, we were ring shopping. And within those first 6 months, he let me quit my job. And I went on even more discovery of finding out what I wanted. During my MBA program, I got the chance to write about a business, create a business. I created a nonprofit. One thing about MBA that I learned is that program didn't teach me how to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to manage someone else's business. But it also gave me the courage to see that I had those capabilities. The military taught me leadership. That master's program helped me fine tune that. It helped me speak up, helped me speak out loud, helped me do presentations and write papers and thesis and just put my thoughts on paper. And that was the first time I wrote a business plan for my nonprofit. And I created that nonprofit and it ran and it worked until it didn't. But I met my husband and he let me go through discovery. He supported that discovery. He never talked down on my ideas. He never acted like they weren't viable. Whether he thought they were or not, he he acted like he did. So I did them and I tried and I worked at it until something worked. One of my ideas worked. It made money. I remember the first time I had an employee go to work and I made money from somebody else working. Not me clocking in, not me being at a job for 8 hours. Somebody else was working and I was at home and I made money. That to me was baffling. That to me was like, I need to get more people to do this so I can make more money. And I did. And I made enough money to retire the man that let me follow my dreams. And now we work together. So if I could talk to that girl that dropped out of college, that girl that decided at 30 she wanted to divorce somebody that she'd been with since she was 16, that girl who was a single mom and didn't know who she was. She was dating these guys that didn't value her. I don't know. I would just say, you're enough. You don't need anybody else's approval. You don't need you don't need to go to everybody and tell them your dream so they can say, yeah, that's a good idea. Or so they can say, yeah, you should do that. Because everybody's not going to see your vision. Hell, it's times at home when I, I just took out a staircase in my house and I told my husband and he was like, huh? I told the guy that was doing the renovation and he was like, huh? Like, I'm in that phase in life now where it's okay if they don't see it. It's okay if they don't understand what I'm trying to do. I'm going to do it and I'm going to show them. So I wasn't very confident back then. It took a lot to get me to this space where I believe in myself. So for those of you out there that have an idea, that have a dream, that have a vision, you're enough. You don't need everybody else's approval. You don't need a yes man around you. You just need you. And you need to be consistent. And every time you get a no or every time things don't go your way, that doesn't mean that it's not supposed to work. I hear people say all the time, it wasn't in God's plan. Maybe God's plan is for you to go through some things first. Maybe God's plan is for you to build up some resilience and some confidence. So you might have to struggle a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you should give up. That doesn't mean that you should quit. I never quit. And I won't. And I don't think you should either. So my story is a story of resilience. My story is a story of a lack of confidence growing into a confident 42-year-old woman. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And I hope you guys continue to take this journey with me. And I want to thank you for listening to my story and joining my show. And you can follow me on social media at Priscilla Grant. Thank you guys. See you next time.